There's a man standing outside a door he swore he'd never knock on again. It's late. He told himself he was just going for a drive, that he just needed some air. And somehow, 40 minutes later, his hand is already raised at the door. He doesn't remember deciding to come here. And that's the part that should bother him the most. Because just 3 weeks ago, he made a promise, out loud, to someone who mattered to him. And he meant it when he said it. And right now, standing at this door, some other part of him has already overruled that promise and never bothered telling the rest of him until he got there. So he knocks. Tomorrow he'll have a reason. He always does. I wasn't thinking. It just happened. Or that's not who I really am. But here's the question nobody ever asks him. If that's not who he really is, then who just knocked? 100 years ago, a psychiatrist named Carl Jung sat with patients who told him some version of that same story. I don't know why I did it. It wasn't me. I felt like I was watching myself from the outside. Jung had heard this enough times to stop believing that it was just an excuse, and instead started wondering if it was in fact a confession. He started to believe that everyone carries a second self. Not a demon, not a monster, just the parts of you that were never allowed to exist out loud. Every emotion your family couldn't handle. Every impulse that got you punished, mocked, or shamed into hiding it. Or every desire you learned to perform like you didn't have. Jung called this the shadow. And he made a claim that if you actually sit with it, it is one of the most unsettling things ever said about the human mind. He said that the shadow doesn't go away just because you stop looking at it. It will just stop asking for permission. Jung wrote a sentence that has outlived him by almost a century. That which we do not bring to consciousness appears in our lives as fate. Sit with that for a second. He's not talking about destiny. He's talking about the argument you keep having. Different person, same argument. The relationship that ended the same way the last one did, and the one before that. Or maybe the success you keep getting close to right before you do the thing that ruins it. That's not bad luck. That's a part of you driving while you sit in the passenger seat calling it fate. Now here's the part most people skip past too quickly. Think of the last time someone's behavior made you furious. Not just annoyed, but genuinely furious. The kind of reaction that felt bigger than the moment deserved. Jung would ask you something you're not going to like. Where, in your own life, have you done something close to that, and never once let yourself call it by its name? The shadow's favorite trick isn't hiding. It's pointing. It shows you your own reflection in someone else and lets you spend all your anger on them so you never have to spend a second of it on yourself. I want you to actually try this right now. Think of someone whose behavior genuinely gets under your skin. Someone where just picturing their face increases your heart rate. Do you have someone in mind? Now, don't ask why they do what they do, but instead, ask where you've done something close to it and called it something else. Maybe they were controlling, and you've never controlled anyone. You've just always needed to know the plan, needed things confirmed, or needed to ask something twice. Maybe they were cold, and maybe you've never been cold, but you've just gotten really good at leaving a conversation before it gets too real. Do you feel that resistance? Well, that resistance is the shadow trying to defend its hiding spot. This isn't about becoming worse by looking at it. In fact, it's the opposite. The most dangerous people in any room aren't the ones who've confronted this. They're actually the ones who never have. Because an unexamined shadow doesn't just sit quietly. It leaks. It leaks into the apology you give without meaning it. It leaks into the reaction you can't explain afterward. And it leaks into the door you knock on at midnight with a reason ready before you've even knocked. Let's go back to the man at the door. Here's what I didn't tell you at the start. I never said who he was. Maybe he's someone you know. Or maybe, if you're being honest, he's familiar in a way that's a little too close. Because maybe the door isn't a door at all. Maybe it's a message you typed and didn't send. Maybe it's a habit you swore was the last time. Or maybe it was a version of an argument you've had so many times you could write both parts. Jung never said you could stop being the person who walks toward that door. He said something smaller, and still somehow harder. He said you could be the one who notices you're walking. That's the whole shift. Not becoming someone who never knocks, but becoming someone who halfway down the hallway, in the dark, recognizes the feeling and asks, just once, where have I felt this before? The door is still there and will always be there. It's been there the whole time. The only thing that changes is whether you knock on it awake or asleep, consciously or unconsciously.